Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to WPFW 89.3 FM. I'm your host, Franco Agbro, on this Friday, the 31st of January, in studio, and we're live at 5. My guest this evening is a group by the name of Liberated Muse, performing their music for you on this evening. Enjoy your commute, enjoy your preparation for the weekend. Take a listen, and thank you for listening.
To all of the singers who think they're the only ones who can sing, call themselves the next big thing, who think their new single is the hottest, that they are the next R&B god or goddess that can't write a song but always demonstrating vibrato, confused screaming with emoting and call random things legato. This poem is not about you. To all the over 30-year-olds still trying to get your rap deal, focused on lyrics that brag about your sex appeal, still debating folks about the greatest of all time, still referring to women as wifey and dimes, this poem is not about you. This poem is for the teachers I know who use music to teach and groom, minds that thrive on creativity, cultivating an engaged classroom, connecting rhythm to Shakespeare and Tupac to Poe. This poem is for the artists who are teachers, the people I know. This poem is for the mamas I know who write melodies with babies on their hips, planting artistic seeds through kisses and fingertips, naming their sons after songs, writing poems about their baby girls, creating music concerts in their living rooms, architects of their own personal worlds, mamas who market their wares with their young ones by their side. This poem is for my artist mamas who fill my soul with pride. This poem is for the daddies working a day job, maybe two, comes home and plays with the kids. His family is his crew, is the producer of a music project that he worked on for a friend, didn't get paid for the track, but got producer's credit, and he'd do it for that friend again. For that dynamic daddy who is an artist working for the man to feed his tribe, where the home front with his family and his studio with his music is where he feels most alive. This poem is for my arts family, my culture collective, my kindred spirits, my creativity tribe. This poem is for the music makers, the poets always lifting up the vibe. This poem is for the day job workers, homeschooling mamas, freelance hustlers, balancing their art with their commitment to their families and their soul. This poem is a reclaiming, a spiritual blessing of the spirits young and old who collectively maintain our culture, don't give us up to the highest bidder, aren't in it to hand over to culture vultures or proclaim themselves the biggest winner. Those who know that art is a reflection of life, of the truth, of the present, of history. This poem is for the creatives, our world's true revolutionaries.
All right, folks, you've been listening to the voice of a member of the group. We'll go into who the members are in a minute, but you've been listening to the music of the Liberated Muse. My first question to you, well, first of all, welcome to WPFW, welcome to Live at 5, and I remember you guys were here not so long ago. Well, it seemed like time really flew.
It does.
Time really flew,
yeah.
And it's nice to have you back in studio.
It's good to be back.
Yes. And so the name, I'm sure I asked you this question before, but I'm going to ask you again. For those who may not know you, how did the name Liberated Muse come about?
Oh, my goodness. So my name is Khadijah Ali-Coleman. Can I introduce?
Well, I'll have them speak with your own
All right,
voice.
all right.
Yeah,
So,
if you don't mind. Yeah.
So I started Liberated Muse in 2008 as an online digital community. Mm-hmm. And I really had come up with the name in 2002 when I wanted to start a band. Mm-hmm. And I was leaving a band, and I was like, I'm going to start my own band. And then I got pregnant at the beginning of 2003. And so the band plans were put on hold.
First child?
One and only.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh. All right, good.
And who will be 17 this year. But the name came to be because as a fan of Greek mythology and just the idea of the muses and creativity, I don't know. I just Liberated Muse was something that, and also the idea of women being the muse and the inspiration for art, but to be liberated and to be a creator of your own art was something that was really put into this name. So that's where it came. So it's a really old name, and it existed way before the entity known now as Liberated Muse existed.
All right. Well, that's a thanks to.
That was more than you asked. That was TMI. He's like, I didn't ask for all that.
So thanks to that was good though. It's like I thought I was like reading Wikipedia there for a minute. No, but I do appreciate the fact that you're sharing that with us. And how did you gravitate towards Greek mythology? Are you African American?
I am African American.
Okay, so how did you gravitate towards Greek mythology?
So it's so interesting. When I started learning about Greek mythology in public school, in elementary school, and just the idea of myths and that world opened up really a lot for me. I've never been one to practice traditional religion, but the idea that through storytelling, and of course that was introduced to me through public schooling more so than the African storytelling. So of course, and being interested in astrology, at that time, very young, Greek mythology was fascinating to me because I was into astronomy and astrology at the same time. So I saw the correlation between Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and the planets in astrology. And so that was how, and so it all comes back to Egyptian mythology, African traditions, but that is where that began for me. So. Okay,
so do you believe in the supernatural?
Oh, I am supernatural.
Okay,
yes.
All right.
Yes.
I like that. Well, if you guys don't mind playing us another song, and then we'll get into the members of the group, and what you guys, there's more to talk about. Yeah. But I'd like for our listeners to hear some of your music and what you come here to share with us. Folks, I'm here in studio with the Liberated Muse Group, and they're back again, and it's nice to see them still doing their thing. Here's more music from them. Thank you all for listening.
My daddy told me he loved me. He told me I was the best. He worked real hard for his family, sometimes 2 jobs. My daddy told me he loved me. He gave me his gift of song. I didn't need to find a man to be my daddy, 'cause I had one. My mommy told me she loved me. She told me I was the smartest girl in the world. She taught me to have an opinion, to look beneath the surface. My mommy told me she loved me. She led by example. She taught me how to be a woman, a strong one, a wise one. Black love, sure love, what I dream of. Black love's what I need. Black love, self-love, what we need is some black love. Come save me. Black love, come save me.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Of Liberated Muse right here on Live at 5 on this Friday in the nation's capital. Thank you for listening. Let's go to the members of the group here. I'm going to flip the switch on you guys. Usually I would say ladies first, but since there's only one man in the room, I'm going to go with the man first, if you don't mind. So who's on guitar?
Charles Wright.
No, can you get closer to the mic if you don't mind?
Closer to the mic. I'm Charles Wright on guitar.
Charles Wright on guitar.
Yep.
Okay. And where you from?
I'm from here, from D.C., from Washington, D.C.
D.C. born, original.
Born and bred.
The original. All
Original.
right. Good to hear.
Yep.
And I've heard some things about you, through the grapevine and things about maybe Duke Ellington and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm a graduate of Duke Ellington. Yeah.
What's that?
I'm a graduate of Duke Ellington School of Arts.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a graduate, and do you do anything professionally, music in terms of...
Yeah, I play around the area locally with different people, different bands. I did some stuff with Liberated Muse, a couple of different things over the years.
Right. Okay.
And just local projects. I have my own jazz fusion trio that's played around the area quite a bit. Worked with Johnny Artis and a lot of different bands in the area.
Okay.
So,
well, Johnny Artis, we know very well.
Yeah.
I've seen you guys play.
He's been around. Yeah.
How's he doing? How did you go to that benefit concert?
Yeah, there was a nice
Sunday?
benefit for him Sunday, and he's doing really well. He's recovering really well.
Okay,
So,
I hope he raised enough money to be able to help him out through his medical expenses.
I think
and stuff,
they did pretty good on that. So,
Okay,
yeah.
good to hear. Good to hear.
Yes.
We kind of helped out here at WPFW
Absolutely,
to
you
get
did.
the word out there.
You
Because
certainly did.
it's not like we only get entertained, but sometimes when musicians who entertain you go through hardship, we should be there to support.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thanks.
okay. Thank you.
Can
Thank
we
you for
just
that.
say that we love having Charles? We love performing with him. He performed with us last year when we were at the Kennedy Center, and we wanted to make a point to have that relationship. I love working with him. He's a wonderful musician. He's actually our music director of the band that accompanies us.
Okay.
And it's going to accompany us on February 15th at the Kennedy Center when we return there for a tribute to Toni Morrison. So we love you, Charles. We
All
love you.
right.
Appreciate you.
Great, awesome. And so thank you. And so who's to your left?
My name is Angela Ballard. I also go by the name Anonamas.
Don't say it too fast because I'd like to remember your name.
I see. My
what's your
name
name?
is Angela Ballard,
Okay.
and I go by Anonymous Groups. I'm a
Okay.
member of Liberated Muse.
Okay. And you from D.C.?
I'm actually from the Eastern Shore, Maryland, and I currently live in Baltimore.
Okay, the Eastern Shore. Whereabouts in the Eastern Shore?
I grew up in Salisbury, Maryland.
Salisbury. Oh, very interesting. Because I love Salisbury. I always drive through there when I'm going to Ocean City or Assateague or something like that. When the kids were young, going camping and hitting the beach and stuff like that. It's a nice part of the area. Next, before I get back to the leader, because I never really talked to her, what's your name?
Colie Aziza. And
Colie Aziza?
Colie Aziza.
Colie Aziza. Okay.
Yes, and I am one of the core members of Liberated Muse. Singer-songwriter, educator, a children's book author. Just doing my thing. I'm originally. I have to give a shout out to the Bronx.
The Bronx?
So yeah, born and raised.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
this is now my second home as well. Yeah,
All right.
so I've lived here for years now.
Okay.
And
so
love-
you're based here now?
I am, but my family is still in New York City. Yes.
And so to the leader, please tell us your name again, and you said this started in 2002, right?
Liberated Muse started in 2008, but the
2008.
name Liberated
was-
Muse. So
okay,
it was
Liberated
birthed way before.
Before the band.
Yeah, before. And we call ourselves an artist collective. We're not necessarily a traditional band. We're a multidisciplinary arts group. We started in 2008 as a digital community, but currently we do a lot of theater. We do a lot of multidisciplinary productions that merge music and theater. And at the core of a lot of our work is the reverence and the tribute to Black women who have come before us and who have contributed to the spectrum of arts, whether it's the written word, the musical word, but who have also used their platform for social justice. And so we really wanted to be here today because we wanted to get the word out about our current tour, which is a tribute to Toni Morrison. We've done tours over the years to many brilliant women, and actually had a production that we toured for 4 years called In Her Words, that highlighted the work of women such as Lucille Clifton, Zora Neale Hurston, Billie Holiday, Katherine Dunham. Did I forget anyone? I feel like I did, but women who right, but women who we know as entertainers or artists, but really aren't familiar with their narrative as being social justice warriors. Nina Simone, I can't believe I forgot. Lena Horne, I can't believe I forgot them. Yeah. But most recently, last year, we did a tribute to Zora Neale Hurston. We're going to share some pieces today from that, but we really wanted to focus on our tribute to Toni Morrison, which is on February 15th at the Kennedy Center. And then later in February, we return to the Charles Beatley Library in Alexandria, Virginia, for a tribute as well. But my name is Khadijah Ali-Coleman. and
once again.
Yes. And so that's pretty much, this is my wonderful group has drawn this talent. I did want to say that the song that Colie performed before, she wrote that song, and that's actually found on her album Light Up the Darkness. So when they introduce themselves as being part of Liberated Muse, they also are highly established solo artists as well. On
their own, doing their own thing, too.
And that's the value of working with such incredible artists who have platforms of their own, and then we come together and really are able to create and to present together as true sisters, and that is just such a blessed thing.
So let me ask you just one more question before you guys play another song, if you don't mind. Who are your target audiences?
No one has ever asked that question. So as an educator, I know that, and I think I said this earlier, I think whatever we do is fused with something that is historically reverent of our ancestors. And so with that said, I think our audience is really anyone who finds that precious. But we've really had an intergenerational mix of people who have come out to our shows, and a racially mixed group as well. We don't have a target audience other than people who really are open to the experience. Our shows are highly interactive, and always have a component where we are introducing something that is not part of the mainstream narrative, and that's intentional. So yeah, people who are.
It seems to me like, sorry to interrupt you, but it seems to me like you're kind of representing who you are racially as a woman. And all this there's so many different components to it, that you're presenting. And that's why I asked the question, because it to me, I'm like, okay, how many people would be into all those different things at the same time?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say humans. I mean, when he asked that, that's what I was going to say, humans. Because that
was the right word.
That's who comes out to our shows.
Anyone who will listen.
Who talks to us afterward. Yeah. Young people, older people, black folks, white folks, Latinas, Latinos, all, and people from all, men, women. I had a friend that used to come back and see a play. Khadijah is an outstanding playwright, and she is just now, in my opinion, getting that recognition. Because I've been telling her for years. I would go see plays and say, "Well, this was I would text her while I was at a play and say, "This is horrible." Don't say that. Your play should be here. And I lost my train of thought being silly. What was I? Oh my goodness!
You just giving me love, girl. It's okay.
But I was singing something about So I had a friend that would come over and over and over again to see your play, and I was in it. And then he said it wasn't because of you. This play is that great, right. And I feel like I learned something new every time I come, because it was about all the different women that Khadijah mentioned, who we think of as artists, but who really, who through their art fought for social justice. And he was just really impressed with it. And he just asked me the other day, do you still do inner words? I said, no, we haven't lately.
We haven't done it yet.
All right. Well, folks, if you guys don't mind playing us some music, I'm sure the listeners would like to hear the variety of the stuff that you guys are going to be presenting on February 15th, right? At the Kennedy Center. Folks, I'm here in studio with Liberated Muse, all right? And I hope you're having an enjoyable experience getting home after probably a long week. Okay, I'm your host, Franco Agbro from Franco Jazz Studios in Mount Pleasant. Thank you all for listening. And you know what? Just get ready for the weekend with more music from Liberated Muse.
When you plow, don't lose your track. Can't plow straight and keep looking back. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on, hold on.
Keep on plowing and don't you tire. Every row goes higher and higher. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on.
If there's one thing we did right, it's the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on, hold on,
Hold on.
hold on,
Hold on.
Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on, hold on.
Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heartbeat.
Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh.
Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heartbeat.
Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh.
Mama, I'm here because of you. Upon your legacy, I stand. Your gifts, your lessons, your wisdom too. Your words, they help me understand. Oh, mama,
I feel you under my
oh, mama,
I feel your heart.
oh, mama, I
I
sing for you. Oh, mama,
I feel you under my
oh, mama,
Mama, I feel your heart beat.
Oh, mama.
I
sing for you.
Oh, Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heart beat. Oh, oh. Master artist, queen of language and literature, memory of history, culture, and creation, we come together today for you, to call your name into the silence, blanketing the room with the brilliance of your light, rivaling the luster of the star Sirius, sparkling so bright we are left breathless in its sheen. Even in death, your light still gleams. You are teacher and goddess mother, wielding language as your golden specter, impeccable perfection, each word placed spectacularly in a monumental resurrection of the word, gilded gold in each line, our story is told. Pecola, Sula, Nell, Pilot, Setha, Denver, baby Suggs, living, breathing, full-bodied people. Your pen breathed life into each woman, dressing them in your vivid fluency, your mesmerizing imagination beautifully realized, shared gracefully with the world. This tribute is for you. We are better because of your gallant appreciation and care with our fragile remembering, ushering us gently toward a better understanding of who we are. This word, this moment, this fraction of infinity is for Chloe Ardelia Wooford, for our Toni Morrison, with love always. Mama, I feel you under my feet. Mama, I feel your heart beat. Hey, 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 oh. Hey, 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 oh.
All right, folks. If you've been listening, I'm sure you're probably like wondering what is really going on in the studio, and I'm just mesmerized by this feeling of home and roots. And anyways, I appreciate you guys being here on Live at 5. This is the Liberated Muse on WPFW Live at 5. I'm your host, Franco Agbro. And while you guys were singing, I kept thinking, right now you're singing, but then what would a theatrical representation of what you're doing look like if I was to come see a show?
Very live, very interactive and welcoming. We paint a picture with the songs, with the poems, with tributes, with love to Toni. So,
do you wear costumes?
We look pretty. We look very pretty.
It wasn't meant to be a trick question.
We won't be wearing a costume on February 15th, but we have, for In Her Words, we have worn costumes before, and for other plays we've done. But for this piece, this tribute, which we're planning to be elegant and to be respectful with our dress. We heard that Toni Morrison's favorite color was red, so we're trying to honor her with our red.
How did Toni Morrison inspire you guys to be able to want to pay tribute? There have been so many different other great writers, poets, musicians. Why Toni Morrison?
Oh, so there are so many great writers, but she's incomparable with what she was able to do and what she chose to write about, and how she chose to write. She was impeccable with her word. The way that she wrote was pure artistry, but her subject matter was really, and in my piece I just read, her work was a remembering of who we are as a people. She gave word and breath to the experience of the enslaved people with many of her texts, but particularly with Beloved was one of the only books that there was really nothing that prefaced it in terms of the psychology and the emotional trauma that to even imagine and to express that was something that she did like no other, and when no other person did that. And from other books, The Bluest Eye, what I wanted to say was the piece that Colie did at the top of the hour, Black Love. She had written, that's from her album that came out in 2011, but we wanted to include that in a tribute show because and to follow behind a reading from The Bluest Eye, because we thought and we talked about what if the character Pecola in the book The Bluest Eye had someone who loved her, had a parent who loved her, had someone who showed her care and compassion and thought, would the outcome have been the same in the text? And Toni Morrison says that there was nothing for Colie but her insanity. And so we imagined, and especially if we're doing a tribute, we didn't want it to be morbid and morose throughout.
Right.
So we imagined we had a reimagining of what would another experience for Colie look like, and her song was perfect for that. So Toni Morrison was majesty, and so she was a mother, she was a queen, she was the empress of word, and so she's not like any other. And we have honored many wordsmiths, from Gwendolyn Brooks, Lucille Clifton, Maya Angelou, even Ruby Dee, the actress, was a spoken word artist as well. But Toni Morrison set a precedent with her words unlike any other person, and she should forever be remembered as an icon when it comes to writing.
Okay, well, you're making me want to go and see this show.
I'm just saying.
I'm convinced.
You know?
I'm convinced. You know. So you got
period, as the kids say, as my 16-year-old says, period.
Yeah, and so you guys will be appearing live at the Kennedy Center. Yes. And that's what give us the info.
So that's going to be on the Millennium Stage at the Kennedy Center at 6 p.m. on February 15th, which is a Saturday. We're going to be accompanied by this wonderful man, Charles Wright, as well as his brothers, Daruba Kenyatta on drums and Mike Pryor on bass.
Great.
And we're also going to be joined by three writers in the area. They're great writers of their own. The award-winning, phenomenal Olu Butterfly Woods out of Baltimore. She used to tour with Fertile Ground. And then the writers, Sarah Trimbath, who teaches at American University, and Kimberly A. Collins, who teaches at Morgan State University. Both of them are published writers as well. So they're going to be joining us on stage on the 15th.
So this will be on the 15th, the Millennium Stage at the Kennedy Center, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you can give us some more music. And, folks, I'm here in studio with Liberated Muse. And like as she just said, they'll be performing at the Kennedy Center on February 15th. At 6 p.m.
Yes.
That's showtime, and then you just come out and see them.
And it's free.
And it's, whoa.
No excuses.
It's free, with capital letters, all right? Folks, here's more from this wonderful group. Thank you for listening.
So this is from our tribute to Zora Neale Hurston. This is a piece called Old Black Girl. It's a folk tune that was, Zora Neale Hurston was an anthropologist in addition to being a writer, and she went down during her life, a lot of her anthropological work was about black life, capturing stories about black people in the diaspora and also in the United States. And so she went to document the experiences of the railroad workers in Miami who were building the railroad tracks. Those of us who take Amtrak and do that Eastern Seaboard train, the workers back in the 30s who were building these railroad tracks. You can go to the Library of Congress website now and listen to Zora Neale Hurston's voice capturing the songs that the railroad workers would sing. And this is one of those songs called Old Black Girl, and Colie will be singing it.
All right.
And my drum, I'm just doing what the railroad workers would be doing. They would hit while they were singing. Okay.
That old black girl keep on grumbling. New pair of shoes, Lord, a new pair of shoes. A new pair of shoes, Lord, a new pair of shoes. I'm going to buy her shoes and stockings, slippers too, Lord, slippers too. I'm going to give her all my money, kisses too, Lord, kisses too.
All right. I was waiting for the second verse. Yeah.
So I was actually going to follow with a spoken word piece. You're so funny. You're so funny. I couldn't find a poem.
I was going to caught off guard. I've been caught off guard a few times.
Right. But so that is how they would sing it. They would sing it and then they would hit twice. But I encourage anybody who's a fan of Zora Neale Hurston. There was nothing more fabulous than discovering that on the Library of Congress website. And they have archives of a lot of the work that she did and as an anthropologist. And that should be fun for a lot of people who keep up with her because she just released a book. Well, she didn't, but her publisher has just released a book by her that they didn't publish during her lifetime. So, there's so many goodies that are still out there. And she's another wonderful icon, I think.
Did you study theater in high school? I mean, like in college or?
So I took classes, but my undergraduate degree was in interdisciplinary studies, and it was African American studies and mass media. And so I'm currently a doctoral student at Morgan State University in education, but a lot of my study has been of interest, and because I'm a self-proclaimed, I have deemed myself a culture keeper. Right. And so these are things that are of interest, and I want to get into the tradition of knowing history so that I can pass it down to my daughter and my grandchildren.
And I'm assuming you're not, you seem to be, to me, to be of mixed race, but like, are your kids the same or?
So I'm actually not of mixed race. My mother was. And
I shouldn't assume.
Right. Well, I mean,
I did it again.
I think, but I'm glad that we're having this conversation because I think a lot of times we have expectations of who people are based on our preconceived notion, and because of what are dominant narratives. But I have to counter. I receive that a lot because I don't have a lot of melanin. My father's actually your complexion.
Oh, is that right?
Right. It was like, what happened? Like, what, it was like the off button. I didn't get any of it. Yeah. But I'm currently working with the Prince George's African American Museum and Cultural Center. I'm their scholar in residence. And I recently had my first in-house salon, which was a conversation this past Sunday. And a lot of conversation came up regarding the way that we transmit history and what are some of the ways that we can make young people, it be more attractive for young people to want to know their history. And I feel that the work that we're doing, when you ask about our audience, I think we do have an intergenerational mix. And I'll be real, a lot of the young people that are there because their parents dragged them there. But once they are there, we get feedback from them that they are glad that they are there, or they didn't know such and such. We had a show earlier this month in Tinleytown where we had little kids taking pictures and video and, coming up. And, of course, we had an art-making activity that was part of our event. But we need to make this particularly African American. That's who I'm talking to right now. African Americans in this country, we need to take seriously the idea of sharing and transmitting stories, and not only through song and storytelling, but also documentation. And that's why I'm so pleased to be doing the work with the museum, because archiving is very important regarding culture keeping.
Here's a thought, and then I feel like I lived through it, and what I'm about to say is I feel like when the internet came out, I think of any other group in my personal observation, I think there became a huge gap between the generations in the black family. Because of the being in tune with technology, having access to technology, but their kids got into technology. So the way we transmitted information through like sitting in the living room and telling stories and all these things, that got lost there.
Yes.
Because as we know, these devices are very, they're very addictive.
Yes.
And all too consuming if you're not very careful. And you could imagine a young mind getting into that.
That's a very astute observation. And I'm so glad you just went right there, because that is actually what my intent with working with the museum is that I'm trying to lead with digital archiving. And the people who came out to my talk on Sunday were older people. And when we had this conversation, that was where I said that I think we need to meet in the middle is through technology.
Right.
Because the older people aren't as savvy. There was this brilliant woman that attended, and she goes to all these places on her own. She's maybe in her 60s, but I said, I want to go on a field trip with you.
Right.
She's like, people say that I should do something. I said, well, are you on Facebook? She said, no, I don't do the social media. And that's where we can meet in the middle with the young people.
Yeah.
And the young people know how to digitally archive. That's what they're doing on Snapchat. That's
Right.
what they're doing on Instagram. You know, so how can we turn this into an interview and where you're helping, we can create an app or something online where we are documenting our family history.
Right.
And so that's really behind a lot of what my interest is how can we join our generations together to maintain our history. And I also talk about for African people, we talk a lot about our oral traditions and that being something that's inherent. But in this country, we also were really good with archiving. We had the first library in Africa, you know, Alexandria Library, Timbuktu. We were the patrons of higher education. In this country, when we came here, however, education was criminalized. So oral tradition became out of necessity. So it's not we only do oral history. It's that in this country, education, documentation, reading, literacy was criminalized. And so a lot of the things that we know about ourselves is given back to us as entertainment. Right. But quilting, because we couldn't read or weren't allowed to, we shared our traditions through fiber arts, through spirituals, which were messages. Now all of this is everything except for documenting and sharing and archiving and transmitting our history.
Excuse me. I have to say too that documentation gives credit. You see, I think there are a lot of things that we see that we operate with, you know, in a social way that you don't recognize where it comes from, but some of us know where it actually originally came from. But it's disguised as coming from somewhere else. You know, and so you claim ownership when you document, and also the oral tradition, in my mind, lends itself to a lot of improvisation, which that could be tricky too.
Yeah, because then you lose. It's like that game Telephone, where it starts here, and then by the end, it's a different message.
It's a different message altogether.
You're right. You're exactly right.
But anyways, play some more music. We've got 10 more minutes left. We could be here all evening talking philosophy and culture and tradition. But it's all good. We're live at 5. That's what happens on Live at 5. And I thank you all for sharing and having such an engaging and enlightening conversation. Folks, I'm here in studio with Liberated Muse. Thank you all for listening on this evening.
Sing all the songs.
I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs. Despite their stares, despite their glares, I still walked on, head held high to the sky, never shrinking. You can't diminish me, I'm rising. I stand high and they're below. You try to pull me down, inside you know my feet will never touch the ground, dismantle me. And you desecrate yourself, truth be told. I am you and nothing else. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs there are. I have sung all the songs. I have sung all the songs.
right. You've been listening to the music of Liberated Muse right here on Live at 5 on this Friday in the nation's capital. Thank you all for listening. K Street looks pretty bare, so life must be good out there.
No, it's Friday.
You know? And it's not even a holiday weekend, you know.
Can we give a shout out to our fourth member who wasn't able to make it today?
Yes. Okay.
And that's why that song was pretty short, because I didn't want to do the spoken word piece. Wanted to save some things for our Kennedy Center performance too. But Lynn Artepe, we love you. She's out of Baltimore. She wasn't able to make it today.
What's her name again?
Lynn Artepe, and she's one of our oldest members too.
Okay, great. Well, you know, we miss her, you know, but like, you know, you guys are doing a great job representing.
Well, thank you.
You know, it's awesome. I wanted to ask you, what are your aspirations as a group? What would you like to see happen? You guys are doing so many different things, playing the Kennedy Center, playing all these different gigs. Do you have any main dream or something like that you'd like to aspire to?
I get asked that all the time, and I don't really have any good answer. I think I enjoy where we have been, where we are. I would like for us to have a residency in an institute, such as a museum or a university, somewhere where we are performing, but we also are teaching, and I would love to be able to have, for us as a group, to teach a course. I think have an interdisciplinary course or workshop that's offered by an institution such as a museum or a school.
Yeah. But it seems to me like, you know, your group is multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like different things going on with this one group.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the reason I asked the question, because I think that with such a thing, it's not just one thing, like just playing in a rock band or playing in a jazz band or something like that. You're doing theater, you're doing you're teaching and stuff.
We call it
so it seems to me like you would
Arts
want to have like a spot, or like a
like
what
a
do you
brick and
call
mortar,
a home.
And I see us traveling, and we're actually, you know, talking about visioning that.
right?
Because
right.
We're visioning that right now so that it happens. But and it's interesting that you mentioned the university, because one of the people that we're talking to about possibly going out of this area mentioned having the universities really support us when we move out of
Well, I think that's something you should probably consider, and maybe something to do some international travel. You know,
Right. Well,
there are a lot of folks who are very, because I'm out there, and I travel internationally, and I've, I speak different languages and stuff, and I see that, like, that exposure, it speaks to me a lot, because of the fact that I know there are people out there that are very interested in African American music, the theater, the culture, and inspired by it. No matter where you go in this world, it's very prevalent and very influential and powerful. And so, I just like, if you guys have one more song on the out, I would like you guys to play another song. I'd like to thank my engineer, Sierra Shine. Yay. And on behalf of and on behalf of WPFW, we wish you all a very happy weekend. I'd like to thank Liberated Muse. Thank you guys for being here. Okay. Look forward to hearing more from you guys, and I wish you much luck in your endeavors. And good luck at the Kennedy Center with that show. February 15th at the Kennedy Center, 6 p.m., right?
Yes, sir.
And it's a Saturday evening. So, bring the whole family.
Yes.
I think it'll be good fun. I'm your host, Franco Agbro from Franco Jazz Studios in Mount Pleasant. Thank you all for listening, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Big man, they call you a thug, never knowing you are only a boy, a child who needs a hug, snatching your childhood. You say it's all good, but I know better. You don't have to act so tough. I
know who you are. I know things are rough in this world image. It's everything, but you can be yourself with me. Your facade don't mean a thing.
Day after day, it seems so hard, wearing armor to survive, afraid to let down your guard. But angels surround you, saving tears that you cry. You take one step forward each time you just try.
They peer at you with fear, never knowing that your heart is a tender seed of love. They are afraid of what they don't know, so there they go, directed by a lack of inner compass.
Day after day, it seems so hard, wearing armor to survive, afraid to let down your guard. But angels surround you, saving tears that you cry. You take one step forward each time you just try.
Stay strong, survive, let your legacy be alive.
Stay
strong, survive, let your legacy be alive. Stay strong, survive, let your legacy be alive.
Stay strong,
survive,